The most profitable crops you can buy from Pierre's store per season in year 1 are potatoes in spring, blueberries in summer, and cranberries in fall. Now, there are crops that are much more valuable than those, depending on a few things you can do. Here's a profit per day table that I made, without any perks or using anything to process the crops, like kegs or preserves jars. The most profitable crops usually have some kind of gimmick, so if you don't want to bother with that, these are the easiest and yet very profitable crops you can buy in bulk at any time of the year. Rhubarb for spring, starfruit for summer, and cranberries for fall. Again, we're not considering perks or processing the crops. Rhubarb and starfruits are crops that can be purchased in the deserts, which you can unlock through the Jojo expansion program or the community center. There is one single gimmicky crop that I want to talk about, the ancient fruit. They take a full season to grow, but once they mature, they'll keep giving fruit once a week, until they die in winter. Again, they can be cultivated from spring to fall. If you have unlocked the greenhouse or the island farm, ancient fruit is the perfect crop for you to grow in those places. Until now, we were talking about the crops themselves, leaving aside perks and processing. If you want to maximize the amount of money you make, you need to process your crops using preserves jars or preferably kegs. If you're using kegs, which make the most money, things change a little. With some exceptions, kegs multiply the value of the crop you put in by a flat amount. So generally, the more valuable crop you put in, the more money you're gonna get. You'll also need to choose carefully the perks in the farming skill to make the most amount of money possible. I personally go with Tiller in level 5 and then Artisan in level 10, because those are the perks that help you make the most money, no doubt about it. Again, here are my picks for each season if you have those perks and plenty of kegs. For spring, strawberries or rhubarb if you can't get strawberries. For summer, hops if you have a lot of kegs, or starfruit if you don't have as many. But keep in mind that there isn't a huge difference in the amount of money you make using either starfruit or hops. And for fall, cranberries. You probably noticed that I skipped winter so far. That's because during winter, you can only plant winter forageables outside. Winter forageables don't make a crazy amount of money. But again, if you have the right perks, in this case, the botanist perk on the foraging skill, they can make a lot of money. Now, let's talk about other specific crops that can also make a lot of money, depending on how you prepare yourself. First, the strawberries. They are only sold on the Egg Festival on the 13th of spring. If you can't save a bit of money to buy some, they can make a lot of money. Just like the ancient fruit, they are a multi-harvest crop. There are some crops that can be harvested once and then you have to plant them again. And there are also crops that can be harvested as many times as you can before the plant dies when their growth season is over. If you plant a multi-harvest crop in the greenhouse, on the island farm, or inside your house with garden pots, you'll be able to harvest from the same plant as many times as you want. I also figured people would ask about it if I didn't mention it, but the sweet cranberries, which are the most profitable crop in that table that I made, are not that profitable as you may think, because they are a single harvest crop. Once you harvest them, if you want to keep growing them, you'll have to buy more, which will be quite time consuming, since you can generally buy one per day, or you have to bother with a huge number of seed makers, which will decrease your profits. Besides that, the farming perks don't really apply to them. Also, you can process them on kegs. I don't really know why, but that makes them a little bit less profitable than they seem at a first glance. But still, they can make a lot of money. They just take much more effort and time than other crops. Coffee is among the most profitable crops you can grow. You can plant the coffee beans your coffee plants produce without using a seed maker. A coffee plant takes 10 days to mature, but once it does, it'll produce 4 coffee beans every 2 days. So even if you start with a single coffee bean, you can expect the number of plants you have to grow very fast. Coffee can grow during spring and summer. There is a very useful tool called STARDEW Profits. You can use it to compare the profits of any given crop. It takes into account your perks, how many harvests you're planning on getting, how you're going to process the crops, and so on.